Hello again. Wanted to create a video that talks about how the wealthy, and some people consider wealthy of having net worth of at least $1 million, how they get ahead. And I thought I'd add in there a little bit on the sources of income and wanted to share that. But before, I would ask, if you don't mind, would you please like and make a comment, and hopefully, if you haven't, to subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more videos like this plus my builds and the investments on real estate that hopefully help you learn some things as I have too. But what I wanted to talk about today is how the wealthy use the tax code and debt to get ahead. And when you look at it, and a lot of people disparage those that are getting ahead using tax breaks, and a lot of politicians disparage them as if they're doing something wrong, but they're the ones that wrote the tax code. But they use the taxes, and this is the key to it, is not tax evasion, that is illegal, tax avoidance. They're using the tax code that these politicians have written to create incentives and activities that they want the public to do. And some of those things, so tax avoidance is legal using the tax code. By doing this, imagine you and I, if we didn't have to pay income tax, and say you were in that 25% tax bracket plus the Social Security, you're talking 35, almost 40%. If you had that back, how much further would you get ahead? And the government gives opportunities. In a sense, they're partnering with you, allowing these tax breaks, and they're getting ahead and getting ahead faster. So I wanted to share some of those things. And so what they do is, the wealthy, they live on this side of the quadrant. This is the passive side, the business and investment side, and they limit what they do on the employee and self-employed side. And what I wanted to share is where they live is in the right side, and they're typical. The studies show the 7 sources of income. And what you'll be interesting to know is, on the wealthy, how much is actually employee income, which is the highest taxed income there is, with the least amount of incentives and tax breaks of anyone, is that employee side. The other side, 95% of all the tax breaks and the tax code is written for this side of the board. 80% of their income comes from this side, and 20% from the high tax side. That is typical for the typical wealthy person. There are 7 sources of income. No, number 1, and this is not in the exact rank order, it's from a business. Number 2 is real estate, dividends, royalties, selling assets that have appreciated, interest from their cash, and then last is earned income. They're spending their life on this side. And the way they do it is, the wealthy know to buy assets, borrow against it, and die. And I'll tell you 2 ways, give you an illustration. So Elon Musk does not take a salary, but he receives stock options. And what he's doing, part of what he's doing, is borrowing against his stock options that have appreciated so much. And because the way the IRS tax code is, borrowing against it to live on, he's borrowing millions of dollars against it, tax-free. The same thing, maybe you and I, we won't have those opportunities, but we can do that in real estate, buying assets, buying that real estate, borrowing against the appreciation. And then when we die and pass that on, say, to our kids, they get a stepped up basis of the value of the property. Example, so we buy something, and let's just use the example of $500,000, and by the time in 10, 20 years it's worth $1.25 million, and we can borrow in that difference there. That is actually phantom income that the government does not tax until we sell. So what we do is we will borrow against that appreciation. It's tax-free. We'll pull those hundreds of thousands of dollars out to live on until we die at the end. Our kids are then passed on those assets and they get a stepped up basis. So they get it at that 1.25 million, not having to pay income tax on the value of that growth. They get it at whatever the value is when we pass away and pass that on to our kids. The other thing that we use, the wealthy use, is debt. Think about it. If you were to buy stocks, go to the bank and ask if you can borrow money to buy stocks. Can you? I know I can't. And so we have to use all of our cash to buy that asset, that stock or that bond, and it appreciates, and maybe it's a dividend stock. Maybe you're getting a little of that growth. You're getting growth of your actual cash value. Say you put in 100,000 and it grew by 10 grand. That's a 10% return on your money. The wealthy use the power of debt and leverage. They have financial literacy and understand the correct type of debt helps them grow wealth. The middle class, they get the incorrect. They get debt on assets that cost them money and depreciate in value. They're doing that, and I've done that too, and I'm trying to get out of those things too, but that's what the middle class does, is they get the wrong types of debt on things that depreciate in value and then that do not give cash flow. The wealthy get debt only on things that grow in value, create cash flow, and get a magnified return effect. If you're buying something with debt that creates value, maybe you're putting 20% down, but say it grew by 5%, you're looking at, let's just use an example of $100,000, you put 20,000 and it's grown by 5%, that would put it at 105,000, so it's a $5,000 return. On 20,000, you're making a 25% return on your money, plus on investment in rental property, they're paying down, your renters are paying down the debt, you're making return on your money that way, plus the cash flow. It is very easy making good purchases in real estate to make well over 50% return on your investment of actual cash that you have in it. Many of my investments, I've made multiple hundreds of percent return, and that's how my wealth has grown exponentially over the last 5 years. I'm using the power of debt and cash flow, and then all the returns, the 5 ways, which I've done other videos on this, the 5 ways you make money in real estate, and that my returns have been several 100%, and my wealth has grown quickly. These are the ways the wealthy get ahead, and the ways you can get ahead is by getting on the side of the board, the right side over here, in doing activities with investing, and maybe it's a business. You might have a book that you want to write. That's on the royalty side, intellectual property. You're living as much as you can, and you're trying to move most of your income to the right side and letting this side stay where it's at, but growing this side. And you're using buying assets, borrowing against them, and when we pass away, we're giving those on. And I'm choosing that down the road to give that away to my kids, that I'm providing that inheritance. But I told them it's going to be leveraged against, and you're going to get that difference, but that's what you're getting. And we are going to live off of those assets, not only the cash flow, but the equity growth, which I call it, is phantom income. It's not taxed until you sell it, but you can borrow against that phantom income of that appreciation tax-free and use that to live on. That would be my plan in the future also. So I wanted to create a quick video on how the wealthy get ahead through taxes and debt. Till next time, see you later.